I'm Gloria Macarenko. While we are setting the scene for the city to shine, this is Our Vancouver. Coming up, we go underground in a Vancouver City park. And Vij's chef, Meeru Dhalwala, is going to be here to share some goodies for a good cause. But first, a new CBC Gem original series inspired by an urban legend and the strong bonds of young friendship. And it's based in Vancouver. Hey, there's a new CBC Gem original series that's being called sort of a love letter to Vancouver. It's called Fakes, and it is proudly set in our city, and it's about two best friends who accidentally build one of the largest fake ID empires in North America. And we are so happy today because the show's creator and executive producer, David Turko, is here with us, along with lead actor Richard Harmon. Hello there, David. Richard, so great to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Okay, now I understand you guys go back a long way. Tell me.
First day of preschool.
Really? Tell me.
Yep, 25 years.
Yep.
25
absolutely.
years?
Yeah, first day of preschool we met. We've been best friends ever since. I remember when you wanted to get into the world of writing, I told you that's a very stupid idea. And I'm eating my words now because I'm just riding his coattails to the promised land.
Well, when did this creative collaboration start?
Oh my God. I think the first script I ever read was probably something you were doing as a kid. Like you were taping or something like that, and I think I first saw what a script format actually looks like. I remember asking, like, what does INT, what does EXT stand for? Like interior, exterior on a script. And then, I don't know, like we're always doing our own things. I've wanted to write since forever. Richard has had an incredibly successful career and continues to. But this is just kind of the perfect opportunity to finally be able to work together.
Dream come true, really.
It is a dream. Okay, on so many fronts. So let's talk about the Vancouver factor here and how you managed to put together this all Vancouver team. How did you do that? A lot of talent in the city?
A lot of talent in the city. Yeah, I mean, like, all of our cast are from Vancouver.
Including those two?
Those two. Yeah. Jen and Amelia, yeah, they're fantastic.
Oh my good, they are so good. Oh, there you are, Richard.
With blonde
there
hair.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that character too. Okay, so let's, just in terms
like
of...
all of the talent comes from Vancouver, essentially, and it was really just such an opportunity to be able to showcase this city and be able to shoot here as well, because we don't get that opportunity very often. I mean, Vancouver, so much films here, but it very rarely gets to play itself.
Yeah, represent itself.
And that was something we'd always pitched from day one, really, of the show and that setup.
Okay, so Richard, from your perspective then, you get a script like this, you start going through the characters. How would you describe the story? We meet at a party and I say, hey, what you working on? You say, this really cool series called Fakes, and it's fill in the gaps.
It is a fantastic new show on CBC Gem. That's how I would usually start it.
Right.
Two best friends accidentally create one of the, actually you pretty much said at the beginning, accidentally create one of the largest fake identification syndicates in North America. But it's so much more than that too. It's a look at kind of their friendship and the ins and outs of kind of the strain that is put on a pair of best friends when they're dealing with the kind of stuff that they're dealing with, and I wouldn't want to say too much more.
Well, there's the whole, there's the school dynamic.
Yes.
That's one, and then each of them has their own family issues going on as well, and how that plays out as well.
Yeah, and the most important thing I think to mention is that we see the show almost twice from two different perspectives of both of them. And you can see scenes two different times. Like my character is very different when Zoe sees him as to when Becca sees him. So that's kind of the fun of it.
Austin, who?
Austin. Oh, I don't know him. I just thought maybe you did.
So tell us about your character, Tryst.
Tryst I kind of describe as the wild card in the show because, like I mentioned, he is seen from two different perspectives. You never really know what the truth of the matter is to him because you're telling his truth through other people's perspectives of him. So sometimes he's really dumb and a stoner. Sometimes he's really aggressive and might be a dangerous threat to kind of what the two young ladies are trying to do. So I would say he's the wild card. And then stick around because in the show you eventually do find out a little bit more about him and kind of like untainted by the perspectives of other people.
Oh, I like that.
Stick
as
around
well.
for that.
Okay, and we talked about the starring role of Vancouver in all of this as
Yes.
well. So, David, how did you go about sort of choosing what you wanted to show of the city?
Well, I mean, we both actually grew up on the North Shore, and that's where the show was set. So, I mean, like, there were a few iconic locations that I right away knew I'd love to get. Ambleside Beach was somewhere that we shot a couple of times, and like, I was just giggling when we were there because like it's the same beach I would go to as a teenager and hang out at night, and now we're there actually shooting, these two characters who are doing the same things. A lot cooler than I was back then.
Ambleside, there's West Vancouver
West Vancouver,
High School.
we were at Stanley Park a lot too. We shot in the interior of another high school in North Van as well. But we're also just all over the Lower Mainland. There's sometimes we had to shoot out in Langley, kind of Abbotsford and Maple Ridge. But it was really cool to be able to showcase the city in that way.
Well, in that way, this is a really edgy series. From the very first frame, it's edgy. You know that it's going to take you. It's going to take you somewhere else, right?
Yeah. It evolves.
I was thinking there's series out there like Sex Education or Fleabag or Russian Doll. And when I say those series, like there's something about the subject matter, but it's also about the cutting. Like, just tell me what you were going with just not belaboring that last comment. Like, just move on, keep it going, and keep people guessing.
No, and I'm glad you noticed that. Thank you.
Yeah,
like
that's really
that's
well noted.
that was a really deliberate choice we had from the get-go. I mean, even as early as the scripts, we kind of had a philosophy writing it that I wanted to start scenes as late as possible and end as early as quickly, just because I want to move along kind of that ADD pace. But then, when you've got more emotional beats that you really want the audience to pay attention, you can slow things down. You can kind of sit in that moment. And, when you feel that change, it really kind of shows you where you need to pay attention.
Right. Now, Richard, you're comfortable on screen. You got your ongoing role, but you had a bit of a cameo yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, that wasn't deliberate. I've got a brief moment as an Uber Eats delivery driver where I have one line yelling Rebecca across the field,
Right.
which I nailed. So
But as a
Everything.
thanks.
as a
do ADR for
behind the
that, too.
scenes guy, is that kind of a strange sensation?
Yeah.
I can see it on your face.
No, for sure. I'm more comfortable behind the camera.
Puppeteer, not the puppet.
Not even that, man. It's fortunately it's a long lens and I'm across the field, but it was funny because it took a bit of coordination because I'm across the field and I can't actually hear what the actors are saying, so we had to run it like 5 or 6 times to get the timing right. And every time we reset, I was like, oh man, I screwed it up. It's all my fault. And they're like, no, it's not you. It's just the timing.
Yeah.
But
I want to hear a little bit more about these two because they have
they are fantastic.
amazing chemistry.
yes, they do.
Absolute stars. Seriously.
No, I mean,
stars in the making.
The chemistry of the show is what makes it. And I truly believe that it feels like Jen and Amelia knew each other in another life. Like it's just, they get along so well. And we saw that from, the first kind of chemistry read we did with the two of them together. And they become great friends in real life too.
They have,
They hang
absolutely.
out all the time.
Okay,
So,
when and where can we see the series?
September 1st on CBC Gem in Canada.
Okay. I got a little sneak peek at a couple of the first episodes. I think you're really onto something special here. How does that feel? Do you get that little spidey sense that, hey, this is good?
I'm excited. I just want people to see it. It's been, years and years in the making, so it's just like I'm ready for it.
Richard,
He's
why don't you
being
chime in
humble.
here?
I get that sense. I absolutely get that sense. It's going to be something special. Go watch it.
Oh, congratulations. Seriously, I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see the kind of buzz this is going to get, and really great to have you both in here.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it, Don.
Hi, my name is Elena.
My name is Rashesh, and this is Our Vancouver.
Hey, there's a new film just released in theaters, and it breathes life back into a historical Caribou mountain town. It showcases BC's Punjabi roots dating back to the early 1900s, and it's based on true stories of immigrants' lives in the New World.
Moviegoers in Surrey say Chala Mudke Nyaya, or Chala Never Came Home, is deeply relatable for BC's South Asian community, describing the film as both emotional and entertaining.
What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, the movie was very fine. It was fantastic.
The struggle of the Asian people into the 90s and 80s. It's really hard-touching story.
The story is about a Punjabi man from India who comes to Canada and works a grueling job in a sawmill to earn for his family. He meets other South Asian men who struggle with homesickness. They come together to build a community and push back against discrimination. For some, the movie gives perspective on their parents' and grandparents' sacrifices.
Showing us how much hard work people have done before, right? Now sometimes I feel like our life is very hard here. No. It's very easy actually. Sorry, I was crying inside.
Most of the film is in Punjabi, and while a bit of it was shot in India, the majority was filmed in the historic town of Barkerville, east of Quesnel, with a few scenes at the old McLean Mill near Port Alberni.
So it was heartening to see that the research has been done and that the stories are true to the migration of Punjabi Sikhs in BC in the early 1900s.
Baines says it really highlights the push and pull experience of immigrating to a new country.
You know, when they arrived here, what they faced and what tugged their heartsleeves back to home.
The actor who plays Bella, an Italian immigrant and the main character Chala's love interest, says the movie sends a message that's still important today.
We come from two different cultures, but both finding the similarities between our cultures, both are so based in community and our village and music and laughter and dancing, and we're, as immigrants in Canada, able to find each other and bring home across the ocean when we come together, which is really beautiful.
Chala Mudke Nyaya is screening at Cineplex theaters across BC. Josh Grant, CBC News, Vancouver.
A former stunt actor is hoping to bring Filipino martial arts to the masses. Arnis is already an internationally recognized sport with tournaments and competitions across Asia and across the United States, but it has yet to gain traction in Canada.
Almost all culture, from Japanese, Korean, Thai, they all have their own martial art. Filipinos in North America, we're like maybe the third largest ethnic community, and we have our own culture. We have our own martial art. Arnis Kali Eskrima is the largest function of Filipino martial arts in the nation. Filipino martial art has a lot of a different variety of techniques. So a lot of it is like outside fighting. You know, you kind of move and strike. Kali practitioners, they are more into like blade and knife. Eskrima people, Arnis people is using more pad stick. I actually started in the 80s. At that time, the Hollywood North is coming to Vancouver. I got involved with the action team. We're like a stunt team. I go to audition for any part in Los Angeles. I never get any hiring, never get any chance. I gave up. I came back to Vancouver, and all of a sudden, somebody called me. Oh, Chishir, there is audition for Ninja Turtle. And I actually won the audition through stick fighting. I am Michelangelo of Ninja Turtle Part 3. They thought that, hey, that's cool, because they thought that nunchuck is only with rope in between. But through Arnis Kali Eskrima, you can do almost like nunchuck without the string, and it is safer. Arnis Kali Eskrima is like everybody's kind of doing it, but not getting the proper recognition comes from the Philippines. We decided that let's campaign for it to become recognized sports in Canada and USA. In Philippines, we are already included in the ASEAN Games under Philippine Olympic and Philippine Sports. In Canada, we started campaigning 3 years ago, but now we are still not approved. I'm 67 years old now. I've been doing martial arts since I was 8 years old. For me, it's a one-stop shop. It's a whole package of mind, body, heart training. It can be for health. It can be for self-discipline. At the same time, it's for self-defense. I would like the whole world to know that this gift from the Philippines, a treasure of the Philippines, is here to stay.
All right, it's time for one of our favorite features. This is where we get to showcase a number of the photographs that you send in. Let's start with this one. Warren Lowe sent in a beautiful snapshot of the night sky outside of his Green Lake, BC home. So much going on in this beautiful photo. Thank you so much. Now, Cheryl Smith told us she's going to be sad to see what she calls Marge the Barge dismantled and gone. You captured a great moment here, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And finally, Richard Doucette sent in this one taken from Upper Sahalee in the Kamloops area. This is stunning. Thank you. And if you're out with your camera over the summer, send your favorite shots to us at bcphotos@cbc.ca. That's bcphotos@cbc.ca. Now, coming up, Science Smart with Johanna Wagstaff is going to look at what the second half of the summer will be like.
Legs, but it's all about how you respond. That's a base hit for Buzmina, his 4th hit today. Cashes in you, and BC has got another.
After a relatively slow start to the first half of summer for many Canadians, things are about to change. The presence of La Nina, that's the cooler than normal equatorial Pacific waters, really changed the jet streams across North America, and we saw below seasonal temperatures across Western Canada, along with above average precipitation. But that all changed quickly in late July as heat from the US punched up into both sides of the country. In fact, in through late July, early August, most of Canada was under some kind of heat warning. And that's as La Nina wanes a little bit. We're still expected to see La Nina linger and strengthen through the fall and perhaps into the winter. But what does the rest of summer have in store? Because we're really only halfway through. Well, the latest Environment Canada long-range forecasts are out. And as you can see, there's a lot of red. This is for the months of August, September, and October, and you can see the darker the reds, the higher the confidence in the forecast. So a lot of confidence that it will be a warmer than normal next few months from basically the Great Lakes all the way up to Newfoundland. That's not great news for the fire season or the numerous heat waves we've already seen in Southern Ontario and Southern Quebec. Confidence is also moderate across the prairies in through parts of Hudson Bay, and you can see out towards BC, that slow start has changed. Our fire season ramping up in the past couple of weeks, and unfortunately hot looks to be the word. Northern BC and parts of northern Canada perhaps coming in cooler than normal. And I should mention, precipitation is always harder to nail down in these long-range forecasts just because it can just take one convective event or one big thunderstorm and it's totally changed our averages for that month. However, some indication that the western side of the country will be drier than normal with a stormier second half to summer for eastern Canada. Stay tuned though, it's not over yet. And now, your Science Smart. If you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet or an email and I'll try to get it answered.
Hi, my name is Momo Chan. My name is Jolene. Welcome to Our Vancouver.
Johanna, thank you very much. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. You know, it was about 50 years ago when a New York food editor founded a society exclusively for women in the male-dominated culinary world. And back in the day, Les Dames d'Escoffier boasted American TV cooking sensation Julia Child as a member. And today, it supports women launching their careers around the world, including Chef Meeru Dhalwala. You've been a member for many, many years.
About 8 or 9 years.
Wow. So what is Les Dames d'Escoffier all about?
So the BC chapter is about 30 years old now, and we do a lot of fundraising for scholarships and mentoring and promotion and support of women in the culinary, hospitality, wine industry. And we've given away, I think, about $400,000 in BC in the past 30 years. And I mean, even a lot of my staff at Vij's, a lot of the women's staff at my Vij's have taken advantage of the scholarships. You know, wine programs, baking courses, cooking classes, just whatever it takes to get us up to par, up to speed, and to enjoy our careers.
Yeah, and why is that little bit of extra help necessary?
You know, it's the necessity is just sometimes, especially young women coming out of high school, you know, changing careers midway through. We just don't have the money. I mean, cooking school is not cheap. Wine school is not cheap. And so it's just to give us a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a head start, just so that we don't need to worry about the money while we are learning our potential passions.
Right, and who would be eligible for one of these scholarships?
any woman, any self-identifying woman is eligible for a scholarship. You just get online, lesdamesdescoffier.ca. I don't know if I got that one right, but you just get online and you just talk about why you want to do it. You'll need to probably get 1 or 2 references. I've done a lot of reference letters for our staff, and really just convince us that this is my passion, this is why, this is my experience, and this is what I wish to do. And then, the scholarships are granted and they get going.
Right. Okay. So you pointed out that fundraising is a big part of what you do as a community here in the Vancouver area. This year, centering around picnics. Tell us about that.
So Stephanie Yeager, she, along with her husband, Scott Yeager, they were the co-owners of Pear Tree Restaurant. And so this is Stephanie's baby, I will call it. And so I feel like Les Dames, Stephanie, summertime, it's just picnic and bubbles.
Picnic and bubbles. You brought the bubbles, you brought some, and we get to enjoy Vij's fabulous food in the picnic. So what are we serving?
So first of all, Indian picnics are very different than Western picnics.
How so?
Well, we eat curry for picnic. And it doesn't matter if it's a picnic. In Indian cuisine, everything has to be balanced out. And so this is a lot, most of the, I think the picnic baskets, they're very different. I think there's fish charcuterie, there is even gluten-free fried chicken, other fried chicken.
Okay.
And so when Stephanie asked me at first, I was like, I don't know, Stephanie, we don't really do fried chicken in Indian food. And she goes, just do what you would eat on a picnic, Meeru. And I said, okay, let's do it. So we've got vegetarian potato samosas.
Lovely.
And we've got some curried chickpeas, we've got some kale that's gonna go with the chickpeas, we've got the naan, we've got the rice, and we've got the coconut rice pudding for the dessert, and we've got the sprouted lentil salad.
Let's talk about sprouted lentils. And I'm going to taste this, and this looks amazing. It is just a beautiful, beautiful dish. But what's going on with the sprouted lentils?
So this is like my pet. This is my pet passion food. My family has grown up on it. I do it all the time. So sprouted lentils, you can do in the summertime in 36 hours, in the wintertime about 48 hours. It is as easy as just taking a cup of mung beans, putting it in a bowl with a lid, rinsing them, putting water, covering, and just watching them sprout.
Okay, wait a second. These are, what are these?
1 cup of mung beans.
Mung beans. So you add water to the mung beans.
Yeah, rinse them, add water to it.
Right.
So for us, we eat them with everything.
Yeah.
So now here, we've actually, at Vij's, we do it with sprouted black chickpeas as well.
Okay.
So we've got the sprouted mung beans, we've got sprouted black chickpeas.
All right. What else do you add to that?
And so to this, we're gonna add some onions, ginger.
Oh, that's the chopped ginger.
Yep,
Lovely.
cilantro. The cilantro is what really makes it very summery fresh.
Yes.
So I'm going to put a lot of cilantro.
Good.
A tiny bit of jalapeno to add a little
that's
zing
going
to
to give it a little bit of a kick.
And then lemon just to give the tartness. That's a little bit. That's about maybe a teaspoon of lemon.
Right.
And now
You've got a couple of different salts
here
there.
are the two.
Can I start?
different
Can
things.
I
Yep,
start
start
to
stirring it.
Okay.
This is regular table salt.
Yep.
This is Indian black salt.
Okay.
And so in a lot of our lemony salads, we add black salt. It's a very sulfuric smell. When we're opening the bags, we can't do it when the restaurant is open because that smell, I'll say politely, is very different than the
You're
taste
very
of
polite.
It. Yeah.
Okay.
So then I'm just gonna
just a pinch.
Just a pinch of this black salt. It's for flavor.
Okay. I would love to hear who else is involved with, in terms of restaurants with the picnic and how people can get involved.
So to get the whole list of a lot of restaurants, just get online for the picnic itself.
Les Dames d'Escoffier.
Les Dames d'Escoffier, Picnic and Bubbles. And we've got Autostrada, I'm going to miss some, Published on Main, Doucette Diner in North Van.
I know. Don't you hate lists on the fly? I'm sorry to do that to you, but it's important.
We've got a lot of restaurants in the Okanagan as well participating. Fresh ideas
Can I just
here.
say, this tastes alive to me? Like it's lovely and fresh and alive. And anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you're eating naan, you're eating a nice, samosa. This just kind of balances it all out.
I love it. Okay,
and if you're going to be out in the sun, right, you want to balance out your meal, even if you're having an Indian picnic. And then I can't forget about the bubbles. The bubbles are a very important part. So Vij's is doing Evolve. And so Evolve, the family, is one of the pioneering families that did sumac wines.
Okay.
Right? And so it's Krista Lee McWaters. She's the dame.
Yes.
As well. And it's peachy, it's melony. Melon, not Melanie. Right?
Okay,
and,
wait, to round things out, you got a little bit of dessert as well.
Yep. And that's the rice pudding at the very end. We did a coconut rice pudding because coconut just will kind of keep in a picnic basket longer than milk.
Meeru, how can people find tickets for these, not tickets, get their picnic and
Just
book their
get online and just Les Dames d'Escoffier, BC, Picnic and Bubbles.
We're going to put
and
that
you're
at the
gonna put that
bottom
on
of the screen.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
so people
when
will
I start
know.
talking about food, I forget little
I know.
details.
I'm all about just the overall here too. Can I finish with some
You
chickpeas?
sure can, yeah.
What have you got in here?
So it's our star anise chickpeas, and that's a curry. But then again, that's balanced out with our grilled kale.
That's my kind of picnic. That's my kind of picnic. It is gorgeous. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And we still have
Thank you.
great picnicking weather ahead of us this summer.
And it is a fundraiser for Vancouver Food Banks as
Yep.
well. And
Okay.
so the funds are being shared 50-50 between Les Dames and Vancouver Food Banks. And one more thing, we restaurants are also getting a $50 stipend so that we are covered as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's win-win-win.
It's all
That's called win-win-win.
Yeah.
Happy rest of summer to you.
Thank you. You too, Gloria.
Maybe I could do a play-by-play.
If you would like to go and see some live music, 90s folk rockers Crash Test Dummies, they play the stage at the Hollywood Theatre in Vancouver, August 21st. And Canadian global pop sensation The Weeknd is playing BC Place, August 23rd.
Hey, Grant Lawrence here from CBC Music with a great new tune from an Acadian artist who over the past 30 years has become a legend in Canadian independent music. I'm talking about Julie Doiron, who made history with her first band, Eric's Trip, from Moncton, New Brunswick.
She walked close behind and started to smoke as I slithered along in the dark. And the trees grew up high in the night in the sky as she wondered how far back she harked.
Yes, both that video and this shirt goes back 28 years to the mid-1990s. That's Eric's Trip from Moncton, featuring a young Julie Doiron on bass and backing vocals. And trivia fans, Eric's Trip famously became the first ever Canadian band signed to Seattle's iconic Sub Pop Records. After Eric's Trip disbanded, Julie Doiron went solo with a few different projects and found success again when she teamed up with a band called the Wooden Stars. That collaboration won Julie Doiron a Juno Award for Best Alternative Album of the Year in 2000.
Please turn off your dance music. Please go to bed now. I won't get up too early tomorrow. I won't stay up too late tonight, 'cause I'm tired of waiting for you to decide.
Yeah, that's Julie Doiron and the Wooden Stars with dance music. Over the course of her career, Julie Doiron has also managed to fit in having 4 kids. And she's worked with everyone from the Tragically Hip to Chad Van Galen and earned more nominations for another Juno and the Polaris Music Prize on strengths of songs like this one.
You got the heart consolation prize for having just survived, having just survived every night, following me in, having just survived. Now you are just friends and people insisted on telling you what a great couple you had been. They insisted on telling you over again.
That's Julie Doiron with the great tune Consolation Prize. That goes back to 2009. Now, it's been about a decade since we have had a new album from Julie, but she returned at the tail end of 2021 with a brand new and fantastic full-length record that marks her 30th anniversary releasing music. From that album, called I Thought of You, here's Julie Doiron with a hand-clapping, country-tinged, rockin' and rollin' tune all about starting over. It's called You Gave Me the Key.
Yeah, your eyes, they showed me the life all around me.
A joyful song for 2022 when we're all trying to start over. That is indie Canadian legend Julie Doiron from New Brunswick with her latest single, You Gave Me the Key. It's currently climbing the CBC Music Top 20, and that's the song that you need to add to your 2022 Fresh Start playlist. I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. Thanks to Joel Prescatter for the shirt, and hang in there. I'll check in with you again next week.
Coming up, a Vancouver park has a secret bunker. We're going to show you where and what's inside.
Of course, during air show, we consider Mount Baker to be Canadian territory.
Welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. Now, city archives are important troves of official decisions on public matters. And in some cases, they are vast underground bunkers full of civic treasures. Well, we are going to take you now inside the Vancouver archives.
Right now, you are in the vault, the main vault at the City of Vancouver Archives here in Vanier Park. It opened in 1972. It was the tail end of the Centennial projects in the late 1960s. And this building was built as the final stage of that to house the collection of our first city archivist, Major Matthews, and also to bring all the city records that had been stashed in various places at City Hall together in one building. This was actually the first purpose-built municipal archives in Canada. What's here in this particular vault is about 60% of the holdings of the archives. About 40% of it is in off-site storage because the vaults here are full. The reason we have the City of Vancouver records, you may think, hey, for historical reasons to show the development of Vancouver, absolutely. But also, in terms of the city records, evidence of the city's decisions. The private sector records tell the other side of that city development story. So you can come here and find out what the city did, but you can also see what was going on from the non-city perspective.
One thing I find folks notice right away is a lot of the hats. They see the hats. This is a prisoner records book. We have 4 of them here at the City of Vancouver Archives, and this book is the one that we have that's the most recent. So it's actually spanning the years 1912 to 1917, and they go as far back as 1898. This book is largely covering petty crime in Vancouver. So it's things like theft, minor theft, drug possession, prostitution, and vagrancy. Gives you a lot of different information about the individual, their occupation, but then their criminal occupation as well. So this entry here is William White. He's originally from England, it's listing, and he's marked as having a former occupation, at least, of a marine fireman. There's also this section here for marks, etc. So it includes things like scars or certain birthmarks, let's say, but this one looks like it's written down as he has an eagle or a butterfly and peacock on his right shoulder. So he might have had a tattoo as well. In some ways, it's showing a photograph of part of the population that, we don't necessarily have a lot of their photographs otherwise.
This is for the entryway of Stanley Park. This design was put together by Thomas Mawson, an English landscape architect, and the city needed to revamp this area, and it was quite controversial at the time. They didn't like the designs that had been proposed to them, so they approached Mr. Mawson and said, hey, can you come up with 3 designs that we could propose? None of the 3 came about for various reasons, but this was the favored design, and it very much shows a formal layout of a garden. It's very reminiscent of that, and turning the Lost Lagoon area into this massive pond and having a museum complex, a stadium. So really bringing the cultural aspect into parks, which was a little bit at odds with the way North Americans often view parks. This is 1945 proposal by the park commissioner, George Thompson, and this is the lead up into Stanley Park, so proposing this civic center where you have a library, where you have a theater, an auditorium, you have an art gallery, so again, this cultural hubbub all the way along to Stanley Park, and we're looking at it from Hotel Vancouver area. So this is downtown. So it's beautiful. It's tinted with watercolor. We like the visual of it. It's beautiful, and especially since what we have downtown looks nothing like this. So it's always interesting to dream and think of what Vancouver could have been.
Hello, my name is Darlene.
And my name is Gordon.
And my name is Eleanor.
And this is Our Vancouver.
Now, if you were at the Abbotsford Air Show this year, the snowbirds were absent for the first time since 1971. But as the CBC's Susanna Da Silva demonstrates, there were still some opportunities to catch high-altitude stunts.
Sunglasses on. I got my mind made up and I'm living life just for fun. Don't try to mess with me. Don't try to bring me down. Because I got a new attitude and I'm bringing it back to town. I'm gonna pick you up because I'm feeling high. Gonna take it to the limit, babe.
Yeah, so we're going to go in the aircraft, we're going to attach our seatbelt, climb at 13,000 feet. We're going to be attached together, the ramp's going to be down, we're going to walk all the way off for free fall. We're going to have a nice little arch position, about a minute of free fall, then we're going to deploy a parachute and come place safely.
All right, how was that?
The greatest thing ever. I mean, having kids, awesome. This is amazing. Awesome.
Thank you,
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's go back up. Yeah, so before every jump, we drop what we call wind drift indicators. Just a big roll of colored paper, biodegradable, and it just shows us the drift of the winds, how strong the winds are to adjust our spot for our dropping there. We like to do our performance in front of the crowd, in front of people, being able to talk with them. It's something really special that we look forward to, and it's a good thing to be back here. We're all really happy.
Coming up, new ideas for dining out are popping up. We're going to share some tips for finding hidden spots.
Let's come in this way. Yeah, we got to twist it to make sure it's flat for them coming up. And a couple of times we'll...
Welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. Now, with times changing and costs rising, wining and dining might not be part of your plan. But a food columnist says a shift in restaurant culture towards pop-ups could save the day. Margaret Gallagher spoke with Shiva Reddy on CBC's afternoon radio show On the Coast.
Now, we're finding that in Vancouver and everywhere, the cost of operating a restaurant is increasing so much, meaning your price increases so much as a diner. So we are seeing that spaces are not being completely utilized on certain days like Monday and Tuesdays. So we're having the opportunity to have chefs, sommeliers, cooks who are inspired and want to do more but can't afford a space, having the space to be creative. So you're seeing three different things happen. You're seeing pop-ups happening by them. You're also seeing a large-scale live event with multiple chefs and maybe different industries coming together, and also collaborative dinners as well, where you have teams coming together where they get to showcase different menus together. So the best way to explore this is by having a nice conversation like I did with James Ironsand from Gooseneck Hospitality. He shared this idea of what embodies a pop-up at one of their spaces called O Carolina.
The idea is to
get you in and spend a lazy Sunday afternoon or evening trying something that you can't get any other day, any other time, any other place. And because of that, it is special.
So here it is absolutely special in that on a Sunday, you get to explore one space. You get to be in this beautiful garden at Eau Carolina. You have wine pop-ups done by Apero Mode there. You have different chefs coming from all over, Galliano, that normally can't showcase their talents here. And you're able to see their menus on display in this space that usually isn't being utilized in the evenings. So with this idea, the reason why this is so important as a pop-up is that with having the ability to make a profit in restaurants in Vancouver, you might have to have multiple properties, meaning you might have to streamline a little bit more. Chefs need a way to still be creative and showcase their talents. So by having the ability to do this in a pop-up, you can get creative. You could use different products that you normally wouldn't be able to showcase, and you can show maybe your heritage or your flair. Yesterday, I was in the sun for hours and hours, drinking delicious beer and eating so much meat at Brewery and the Beast. And I got a chat with Scott Gurney. And just to give you an example of this event that he's put together, you have beautiful live music happening right in front of you that would not happen normally. They're not cover bands. They are playing music together that is being formed in front of you. You also have different farms and restaurants, as well as breweries coming together. With that, good food does cost money. We often look at a bill and we say, oh my gosh, that wasn't worth it. But it takes so much work to put something like this together. Now, this is a one-time event that happens, and the same thing with every pop-up and collaboration. You are in a space one time and you get this incredible fusion and melding of ideas that you normally would not get to experience ever again. And the reason is that yes, it might seem like there's so much hype, but if we do not support this creativity, the creativity within the city gets stifled and people can't afford to be in the city like this. And if they're not able to express themselves, then we lose that culture. So it is a very important way to support our local hospitality industry and let our culture thrive within food and wine. Because I was having this conversation earlier today, my friend was asking me, how do you learn about this? Is it a forum? There isn't. I recommend if there's a sommelier or if there's a restaurant that you go to, have these conversations with everybody. Find out what's going on in the industry. So with Eau Carolina, for example, every single Sunday, they have a different style of pop-up. You'll notice that restaurants that are often closed on Monday, Tuesdays, they need to utilize that space, and they allow for their young chefs and talents to come together and use that space. So we are seeing beautiful ramen pop-ups. We are also seeing gorgeous wine pop-ups like Apero Mode, which I absolutely love. She does wine subscriptions. So I recommend go on Instagram, follow these kitchens, find out that way, and have conversations more and more with your hospitality friends.
When we bring you stories here at CBC Vancouver, we have award-winning photographers out capturing the images that say so much. Still images, they add context, they bring a lot more to the understanding of an event or an issue. So here are some of the latest from what happened this past week. And that's all for Our Vancouver for this week. I hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. Goodbye for now.